G'day everybody, what's cracking? Ralph here. Stoked you can be with me today. If you'd like to join our creative crew, please do so by subscribing below, giving us the thumbs up, and leave a comment if you feel that way inclined. Today there is only one place we can go when this high tide, the sun is rising, and the surf is pumping, and that's Snapper Rocks. So let's get there now.
Today I want to introduce you to a phenomenon that happens only when three things converge on this particular location. This location is Snapper Rocks, and those three things are the sunrise, big surf, and high tide. And when those things come together in this spot, well, stick around. So when those three things come together, you have this crazy phenomenon where the surf hits the wall that's there, and then it backs onto itself as the next wave comes in and creates this water spout into the air. Now we're still like an hour off low tide. The sun's looking good. It's creating a nice backlight for the waves. That's why that's really important. And the biggest challenge you're left with is what shutter speed to use. Now, shutter speed is really important here because if you slow down your shutter speed, you'll catch the nice silky water going over the rocks. But the water spout and the waves crashing in, which you want pin sharp, becomes really blurry and mushy. You go the other way and you get really pin sharp waves, but you get a staggered effect of the water over the rocks. So you either need to do two things. You need to compromise halfway on your shutter speed, so you get the waves spouting up as clear and as sharp as you can, but you also allow it to be slow enough to catch some of the silky water. Or you do what's called a double exposure, and so you shoot half of the scene how you want it, and then you shoot the other half of the scene how you want it. And so here's some of my results thus far. Often today you got some surfers coming in just off that little reef there, but the reason there's no surfers today is because of all the massive logs and trees and stumps that are being smashed around in the water. So it's always really good to understand your surroundings, just like this poor fella. So as you go closer and closer to this wall, the surf jumps over the wall, and as the surf jumps over the wall, if you're too close to the wall, well, let's say you get a shower. He was such a good sport about it. He came up afterwards and he asked me if I could send him the video that I just showed him I took, and so I did that. So good on you, man. You ever watch this? The other trick to this location is composition. And so you can compose a landscape shot where you're really shooting the rocks and the water and the setting, or you're putting on a telephoto zoom and you're zooming in to where the water spouts together. And that's what I've got to graduate from. I start with a landscape, so I start wide, and as the high tide rises, the drama of the scene rises, and as that rises, I then focus in, I zoom in on where the drama actually is. And so that's what I've done today. I've zoomed in closer and closer. When the surf's like this on the Goldie, and especially at high tide, you get a bit of a crowd that come down and they want to see. And so people come down, they just sit and watch and take photos, but really enjoy the natural beauty that is all around us. And I think if you had one word to sum up what this experience is today, what that surf accomplishes, it is power. It is throwing around the equivalent of telephone poles like they're toothpicks, and it's coming smashing into that wall behind me. It's just, there's this terrifying essence of, if I was out there, it would be all over. No wonder they close the beaches when it's like this. This beach is literally usually clean. There's never any debris on it. It's a beautiful sandy beach. And yet, the results of the last week or so with big surf coming crashing in, this is the debris that's washed up.
So this is the east coast of Australia, and it's one of the points. And what happens is the Pacific Ocean comes barreling in and hits this dead on and creates this amazing effect. And as the tide rises, the effect increases. The water spout and the water are crashing into one another, and that rock wall become more and more dramatic. This is a keen spot for those boogie boarders. What happens is the barrel usually starts about here, and they get to ride it in and then escape out the back before they get pommeled into that wall. It's quite something to see. And when the surf's clean, today it's called the washing machine effect, because, well, it's what a washing machine looks like, right? But when it's clean, oh, it's sweet. One of the great challenges of this sort of setting, when the light comes up, there's so much froth, there's so much white, that the autofocus really struggles, and so it struggles and it jumps around. So one of the challenges, you can be tracking a wave, and just as it's about to break and glow this aqua bluey green, the autofocus decides to go somewhere else, and you're left with a really fuzzy shot. So my suggestion would be to put your aperture on about 16. If you put your f-stop on 16, it increases your depth of field, and so because of that, it gives you a far more chance of everything being in focus. And then I put it on manual focus, so I set to roughly where I'm going to shoot. So if I'm shooting the point out there, I'll set it to there, and then everything should be kept nice and clear, because the focus of your shot is actually the wave breaking rather than the depth of field created, because you're using something in the foreground to either mask or be highlighted against the background. And even though I have the beast mounted on my tripod for this particular vlog, I actually hand hold. So when the light comes up, you hand hold, and the reason you hand hold is you have so much freedom and there's so much happening out there that you can instantly change direction or your height. You can move closer or further away without having to lug like a massive tripod around. No one likes tripods, do they? I don't actually mind tripods, but there's plenty of photographers out there who have a passionate hatred for tripods. It's an incredible location, isn't it? The sun's now getting up, as you can see. I'm a little bit warm. I live in one of the most incredible places on earth, and I'm stoked that I get a chance to bring it to you. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, give me the thumbs up, and continue to come create with me. I love hanging out with you guys. Any questions in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.